From 2014 to 2022, the Colorado Trust embarked upon this groundbreaking, place-based philanthropic strategy called the Community Partnerships for Health Equity. The strategy supported 27 communities across Colorado to include a lot of urban areas, rural and frontier towns.
It was a good opportunity, and I would say even like game-changing program.
For me, it was a really good experience to work with Colorado Trust.
So many people who came together that many years ago, exploring issues of health equity and exploring ways to share their voice. It's really inspiring.
It was an experiment in pulling the leader that existed in us out and see where it goes. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I was like, where could this lead?
Community Partnerships for Health Equity aim to achieve health equity through building collective power in community. So when we first started doing the work of the strategy, we would do a lot of research first, looking at various data sets, and then we would identify the communities that we wanted to connect in, and then trust staff would go there. Have one-on-ones with people that would go to the community centers and ask people, what do you like about living where you live? And what is something you want to change? The issues that the communities identified really varied, and they ranged from access to affordable and healthy, nutritious foods to having a safe recreational activity and opportunities for the youth in rural communities. In Fort Morgan, for example, the Fort Morgan team initially under CPHE was Fort Morgan Cultures United for Progress, FM Cup.
Culturally responsive access to housing, recreation, and education.
The agenda was created by the resident team and it was facilitated by them. So the role of the Colorado Trust in this was really around additional facilitation support or asking questions about what kinds of resources were needed to implement the work that they had set out for themselves. We would support with providing interpretation or resources for interpretation.
More resources, signage, things like that in multiple languages.
Primarily, we had French speakers, Somali speakers, Spanish speakers, and English speakers.
Working with FM Cup was for me an opportunity to learn and also to have more knowledge about the system I'm moving and support back my community.
When I moved here, I feel really lost. I was educated, but I feel I don't know nothing about the system here. But my time in FNCAP helped me to develop my leadership.
We all really benefited from some pretty amazing opportunities, educational opportunities, leadership opportunities. Many of us were able to have mentors through the program.
I'd say in my experience, this is a groundbreaking strategy because I think power building is essential, and there is an inherent power dynamic in philanthropy that you cannot erase just by naming it, but through funding. If you're like, okay, the people most impacted are the ones that are gonna use these dollars and decide how to use them. I think that's really critical because it's really shifting the power dynamic.
After we had all of these surveys and all of our discussions, we settled on 3 priority topic areas, and they were housing, recreation, and education.
Fort Morgan has been working for well over 5 years on the issue of housing, among other issues, and housing has just been consistent. They've just been moving forward on it.
Everybody in our community talked about how housing was impacting them.
There had been no development, very, very little development around even market rate housing.
So the FM Cup team determined that they would use the funding that they had through the program to fund a housing needs assessment.
The housing needs assessment really took all the information that everybody knew, but put it in such a way that we could present it out to foundations and funders and say, this is why we need housing in Fort Morgan, and this is what that housing should look like.
From that housing needs assessment that was born with the trust, we received additional funding from the Colorado Health Foundation and from Cargill, our biggest employer in Morgan County. Those funds were blended to launch the Housing Resource Center at the Morgan County Family Center. That Housing Resource Center is now the hub of housing navigation and housing services in our community.
Oh, ok. Si gusta, yo puedo intentar llenar. Sí. Si no se trata de llenar.
For the first time since the 80s now, we have hundreds of housing permits being applied for. We have huge development happening for our smaller sized community.
It's just amazing when I think of the incremental steps that have happened over the last 5 to 7 years. But that work really started with the housing team of Fort Morgan Cultures United for Progress. We are excited to see an expansion of our affordable housing here in Fort Morgan. Cargill announced over a year ago that they were going to build a very large apartment complex that will have over 100 units for their employees. Also, the creation of the Morgan County Housing Action Team. This is a group of folks in Morgan County that now are coming together and having these really robust conversations about lack of housing and the ways in which the community can come together to solve those problems.
When we started with this group and the housing team, I don't know anything about housing. And now I can say that I'm the housing program manager at Morgan County Family Center. Thank you all for joining us for our tenant training. This training is designed to empower tenants like you with knowledge, tools, and resources to support your housing stability.
As today, I can see a lot of people from FM Corp Group working in different organizations because of the roots built by the Colaboraciones and FM Corp. I'm the housing program manager at United Way of Morgan County.
I'm currently the executive director of the United Way of Morgan County.
Executive director of the Fort Morgan Community Hospital Association, and I am also on the City Council in Fort Morgan.
I'm the regional director at the North 3 for Proyecto Tech Promotoras Network.
Developing leaders in communities really looked like not only providing capacity building opportunities, but it also was around access. To be able to attend city council meetings with simultaneous interpretation. With that seat at the table, they're able to participate civically in a way that they weren't before. And ultimately, you can see that the work continues in so many of these communities. Avondale has a food pantry that's up and running. There's a huge park, like a playground, that's like a multi-generational playground that's in Clifton. Grand Valley, they're getting into the schools and they're talking about language access in the schools and supporting the families.
It wasn't easy at many, many times to do the work with FM Cup.
It takes time, it gets messy. I think some of the things that were really difficult were around navigating conflict within the community teams.
Cultures clash, and you have to work through those things, and you have to figure out the language of humanity. We lost members of the team. They would fall out because the work required a lot of time, a lot of effort. We get new members. You know, you just had to have that tenacity to say, look, you know, each step is leading us to a higher and higher ability to influence people and to make the changes.
Internally, I would say that there were varying levels of appetite for risk and different approaches to risk management. I will also say another challenge was the way we ended the strategy. It was very abrupt, and that was really hard on communities. We did share the lessons learned in the reports that are available publicly. We wanted to be really transparent about what we tried, how it was hard, and what we learned. And I think that's really helpful for philanthropy, generally speaking.
It's almost in spite of ourselves or in spite of the work, somehow so many people who came together that many years ago exploring issues of health equity and exploring ways to share their voice, I see our community leaders today.
If you sit around and wait for, oh, this is the qualified person that's going to lead us through the challenges, you're going to be waiting a long time. So what I would say is, other people are going to see a leader in you. It's you recognizing that in yourself.